What is up, book nerds? I am so happy to be back filming. I have just had a busy month in April, so I think my last video that I did was a TBR video, and that was at the beginning of April. But there's a lot of stuff going on around here. We are redoing our whole backyards. I have been helping out with that and just kids in sports and appointments, and it's just I had to take a break somewhere. And this seemed like the best break because also I was hitting a reading slump and I wasn't really reading much, but I have gotten back into my reading and I'm so excited to see what books I read, to show you what books I'm going to be reading in May, because instead of doing my TBR game, I'm just going to go with what I feel like reading, and not saying that these are the books that I'm for sure going to read in May. They're just ones that I feel like I might get to in May, and we're going with the feel for summer, because if I get too into my game and trying to match everything with prompts, then I'm going to end up hitting a reading slump or not wanting to read a certain book. So we're just switching things up for the summer and seeing how it goes. So yeah, let's get into what I feel like I might read for the month of May. One of the books I have picked out for the month of May is one that my sister-in-law recommended to me, and I figured since she is going to give ACOTAR a try, I will give a book that she recommended me to try, and that book is One for the Money by Jeanette Evanovich. Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. But I remember when the movie came out, and I absolutely loved the movie. It made me laugh, and that's about all I can remember on it. But it says, I'll just read a little bit of the back, and it says, "One fine mess, welcome to Trenton, New Jersey, home to Wise Guys, Average Joes, and Stephanie Plum, who sports a big attitude and even bigger money problems. Since losing her job as a lingerie buyer for a department store, Stephanie needs cash fast, but times are tough, and soon she's forced to turn to the last resort of the truly desperate family." That's all I want to know going into it, and I think it's going to be even funnier. I've heard this book is really good. My mom has read it and told me that I should read it, and I have, I believe, 1 through maybe 18, and yeah, so keep an eye out. Maybe I'll do a reading vlog, reading like the first 3 of these books and all that. The next book that I'm hoping to get to in the month of May is I think it's a newer book, and it's gotten a lot of hype on BookTube. I've heard it's really good, and I just happened to find it at my Walmart and picked it up. And that book is If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. I'm not going to read the back of it, but I believe it sounds like best friends, but they end up not becoming best friends anymore, and something happens to the main guy in this book, and I think it's going to be a tearjerker and a heartbreaker, and I am excited to see what I think of this book because it is very hyped on BookTube. The next book that I have here is the 3rd book into a quartet, and I've slowly been making my way through this quartet, and I am ready to jump into the 3rd book. Probably just listen to it on audio, and that book is A Reaper at the Gates by Sabaa Tahir. I am so excited to get to this one. So the first 2 were rereads for me. I never got to read this book, so it's going to be a new experience for me. But if you don't know what An Ember in the Ashes quartet is about, it's about this girl named Laya, I think that's how you pronounce it, and she goes basically undercover at this school, and she's working with this high, powerful lady there, and things happen. Well, then she runs into, what's his name? I can't think of his name. Elias. And they end up escaping from this school, and then things start to happen, and it's hard to explain, but it's such a fun fantasy read, and it's different, and this is YA, but I'm actually really enjoying it, and can't wait to see what the last 2 books have in store for this series. And yeah, I'm ready to dive right back into this world. These next two books that I'm hoping to get to are by the same author, and they just give me summer feels. That's why I picked them up for May, and those books are Love and Olives and Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welch. I don't really know much about these books. Love and Gelato is the first one, and it says, Lena is spending the summer in Tuscany, but she isn't in the mood for Italy's famous sunshine and fairy tale landscape. She's only there because it was her mother's dying wish that she get to know her father. What kind of father isn't around for 16 years? All Lena wants to do is go back home. But then she is given a journal that her mom had kept when she lived in Italy. Suddenly, Lena's uncovering a magical world of secret romances, art, and hidden bakeries. A world that inspires her, along with the ever-so-charming Wren, to follow in her mother's footsteps and unearth a secret that has been kept for far too long. It's a secret that will change everything Lena knew about her mother, her father, and even herself. People come to Italy for love and gelato, someone tells her, but sometimes they discover much more. So yeah, this one takes place in Italy, and this one takes place in Greece, and I think just reading these and having the experience of what it's like over in those countries will be fun, and it just sounds very summery, and can't wait to get to this and really enjoy them. Sorry if the angle has changed. I had appointments to get to while I was in the middle of filming this earlier. But yeah, so let's get right back into this TBR. So this next book is by an author that I've never read from, but I've heard great things about her books. And I figured it would be nice for a summary read because it has romance in it. And that book is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This one I heard off of Destiny Sidwell's channel. She read it and she liked it and she loves all her books. So I'm just going to read a little blurb. It says, after a wild bet, gourmet grilled cheese sandwich, and cuddle with a baby goat, Alexis Montgomery has had her world turned upside down. The cause, Daniel Grant, a ridiculously hot carpenter who's 10 years younger than her and as casual as they come. The complete opposite of sophisticated city girl Alexis, and yet their chemistry is undeniable. That's all I want to know going into this. This sounds like a little bit of an age gap, but kind of an enemies to lovers or opposites attract. And I'm really excited for this and think it's going to be perfect for May. Alright, so the next book I'm going to be talking about is one that just came out last year, I believe. Let me double check. Yeah, it came out in December of 2022. And it's a fantasy. I've been wanting to read it because I liked this author's other trilogy, which I need to get to the last book in that one still. But this book is Babel by R.F. Kuang. I love the artwork on this book, and I think it's gorgeous, but a little bit about this is Babel, a historical fantasy epic that grapples with student revolutions, colonial resistance, and the use of language and translation as the dominating tool of the British Empire. I haven't heard the greatest things about this, but I'm going to go into it with an open mind and see what I think about it because I wasn't for sure if I would like the Poppy War, and I absolutely loved that one. So yeah, I'm very excited to get to this book also. The next book that I'm going to be talking about is part of a series, and I just read the first one this past month in April, and I am ready to dive into the second book, and that is Crush by Tracy Wolff. This is part of the Crave series. If you don't know what Crave is about, it's about this girl, can't think of her name right now, but she ends up moving to Alaska and goes to this new private school because her parents passed away, and so she goes to live with her uncle who is the headmaster, and she lives at this school in the same dorm room as her cousin. Little does she know, a lot of different things are happening at this school, and it's a supernatural school with vampires, dragons, werewolves, and a bunch of the paranormal characters that you read in other books. I really enjoy it. It's not the greatest writing, but it's an easy book to get through, and I think it helps me when I'm in a reading slump because I don't have to think too hard while I'm reading this because it's that easy to get through, and I can't wait to get to the second one and see what I think about it. And last but not least is a book that I'm reading with my mom and my sister-in-law for our book club. We're just reading this series throughout the summer, and when we get them done each time, then we're going to talk a little bit about them. And for May, I'm going to be reading the second book because I will have the first one done by the end of April or the beginning of May. And that book is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. This will be a reread for me. Absolutely love this book. I think this one is my favorite out of the first three books that she wrote, and I can't wait to dive back in. If you don't know what ACOTAR is about, it's about this girl named Feyre who is brought to the fairy world because she ended up killing a fairy, and by the treaty she has to go and live there for the rest of her life. And it's, in a way, a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and at least the first book is, but I really enjoyed this series. I loved the spicy parts of it, I loved the action parts of it, and just learning more about other characters and more about the fairy world in these books. But that is it for this video. These are the books that I'm hoping to get to in May, but it depends on how I'm feeling, and I'm also going to be reading some other books for reading vlogs. I will have my Kingdom of Ash vlog coming out after my TBR. I just need to take a thumbnail for it and upload it, and then it will be scheduled for when it is coming out. And thank you all for being patient while waiting for me to get a video filmed and uploaded and edited, because my life has been crazy and it's just going to get crazier for the next 2 months, so bear with me. I might not be posting every week, but I will try and post whenever I can. And as always, keep on reading, people. Bye!